day, everyone, if you're listening live or if you're listening to replay. I am alone today. I am Teresa Palmer. I am part of the Own It family on the Own It platform, and I am author of the book, which is available on Amazon.com. It was published by Press.com, which is the sister company, or the sister publishing company to Hay House. And excuse me for one moment as I get these earbuds to try to work here. I hope you could hear me. As I said, I'm by myself today. That's fine. I can handle it. Uh, what I want to talk about today is the recognition of authorship. When you're an author, it opens the door to many awards and recognitions. And with everything, it's got its pros and it's got its cons. There's always the good side and the bad side. I could say, honestly, myself, even before I wrote a book, I've been around long enough and writing long enough articles and different things that I remember a time, and I'm going back into the 90s and early 2000s, where you were given recognition and given awards solely by how you were recognized in your work, your achievements. And by that I mean you were chosen. There was no online, so you certainly didn't go online and apply for anything. You were chosen. And early in my career, I was one of the first nurse practitioners to do acute care. And by that, I mean hospital, acutely ill people rather than primary care, which was what most nurse practitioners were trained in, including myself. But I had the opportunity to go into cardiac surgery and to really learn from the ground up. So I was featured in a lot of medical hospital magazines. I had videos done. One day, actually, at work, I had a camera crew that was following me around as I took care of people, as I did my consults. You know, it was a day in the life of an acute care nurse practitioner. The hospital got a lot of recognition for that, as did I. And with that came speaking events, keynotes at nursing conferences, a host of things. And then also writing in textbooks. I was contacted and asked, and I was actually paid to do these things. I wrote 12 chapters on a physical exam. I wrote about EKGs, cardiology, different things, published in nursing magazines. And with all that came the recognition. And it was because of achievement. Well, fast forward many years, and now it seems like recognition is there for whoever wants it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. What I'm saying is there's the good and there's the not so good. Well, with this recognition, nowadays, if you have the money, you could really be recognized however you want. You know, you could apply to get a recognition for an award. Uh, some of it is marketing, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but a lot of times once your book is out there, it catches the attention of marketers. And sometimes this marketing is disguised, and it's disguised as you may think. And I know I've almost fallen into this trap when I first published in 2022 that I thought that it was a literary agent that wanted to represent me and represent my book. What it turned out to be was a marketing agency. And what they wanted me to do was pay them to get my book in front of people. Well, is there anything wrong with that? There really isn't, because if that's the visibility that you want, and if you have the income to pay for that, and you want that recognition, then why not? For me, I didn't like the fact that I felt like I was deceived. because they didn't tell me they were a marketing company until I actually got to speak to the so-called literary agent, who then I found out wasn't a literary agent at all. So because of that, I did not go that route. I did not want to be involved with that. It's not to say there aren't good marketing companies out there. I think the thing is you have to do your research. And with awards, do I have awards? Oh, I got a whole desk full here right now. I've got at least 10 awards for recognition for achievement, patient empowerment, nurse practitioner of the year, holistic nurse practitioner, the International Association of Top Professionals. I got awards through them, and I'm now in their Hall of Fame. The Marquee Who's Who of Nursing, Nursing Entrepreneurs. So I have a host, and I'm not saying this to brag. What I'm doing is I'm saying this to say that if you have your research done, you could get some very good things through awards and through recognition. These were places that recognized my achievements, that actually interviewed me. They may have found me. Here's my little guy, Lucky. Oh, he's also an award-winning dog, right? So these places may have found me, and these organizations. I may have been found on social media, may have been found on YouTube. I may have been found being a guest on a podcast, but it didn't stop there. These places actually interviewed me, critiqued my work, dug deep into who I was, and with that came up with, yes, we want to give you that recognition. And that's how I sorted out what were the organizations and what were the places that were really giving me the award and or the recognition because of who I was, what I did, and not vanity. And when you look at it, some people may not be too thrilled with what I'm going to say, but I think it needs to be said, is all these things on the whole are designed to appeal to your vanity, your ego. So when somebody calls you up and says, "Oh, got the most fantastic book. Oh, I just love that book and I want to represent you and I want to market you." A lot of times, if you don't dig deeper, they're just appealing to your ego because that's really what marketing is. Marketing is to get you excited about what someone else can do for you. And that's good because we all need help with marketing. But at the same time, we have to be careful in how we go about this. Recently, I came across two things, and that's what one of the things that got me interested in this subject, besides the fact that an organization that I know very well and has a very good reputation has on and off recently come under fire for award recognition that, is it vanity? Were they appealing to people's vanity or were they really giving people the recognition that they deserved? I was on the side that, yes, they really gave people the recognition that they deserved. And that was maybe a couple of days where you saw some different postings and some different things about what does this recognition or these awards really do for people? And getting back to what I was saying before, I came across two places that have been after me a lot, and I don't even know why. Um, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, maybe they think I am vulnerable because they're not very, in my opinion, reputable. One place I have turned down was about a speaking engagement. And you could either do it virtual or you could do it in person. But the kicker was that you were speaking to other speakers, whether they be online, other participants, I should say, which really didn't appeal to me because there wasn't a theme of I guess they called it a conference, that there really wasn't a theme, that you could speak about whatever you want. And that didn't sit too right with me. And when I had found out more information, I had actually spoken to them, a Zoom call, and told them I wasn't interested. Well, they've continued. I guess it's the auto robot, artificial intelligence that keeps calling me, keeps leaving messages, and keeps emailing me on my social media, direct messaging me that, oh, they want me to participate in this and that. They have this coming up, they have that coming up. No, I don't want to be bothered, but they don't seem to get that message. And that's really a red flag. And then I came across a marketing company and I got this message on my phone that didn't even have the name of my book right. It said, "Oh, we're calling for Teresa Palmer, author of The Healed Heart Within You." That's not the name of my book. My book is called Heal Your Heart from Within. Well, this message went on to say how they had read my book, how they know this book could just be a number one bestseller, how fantastic the book is. Well, I called them back, and I called them back simply to tell them they didn't even have the name of my book right. So why would I even want to get involved with them? Well, they were shocked. And they said, "Well, we read so many books." I said, "But when you're talking to people, you need to at least get the book right. You can't be giving another name of a book." I said, "That shows me that you haven't done your homework, that you're basically just interested in the monetary value of what you could get for me." Does that sound harsh? Possibly, but I think these are the things that we need to be aware of as an author. I think we really need to protect ourselves because once your book is out there, you are going to be known. And every marketing, every type of social media, they all advertising, they all have access to you. And some of them may want something good, and some of them may simply want you to pay them for the recognition. So, how do you protect yourself? Number one, you have to know the organization or the company. You have to, or the person. You have to really do a deep dive into what they're asking, who they are, what is the reputation of the organization or the company. And I think it's especially true when you get into these marketing things, because a lot of them don't have good reputations. And if you really dig deep, you really find out that there's a lot of dissatisfied people that spent money for something that they felt never really benefited them in any way. Then on the other hand, if you have the disposable income, and I do know a person like that, that likes to be on all the social media, likes to be on everything. And I think this person has at least 25, 30 book cover, not book covers, magazine covers. I mean, the digital where you pay. This person has spent a lot of money on these things, but this person has the money to do it. They like to fill their office wall at home with, everything and all their awards and recognitions. And this person doesn't really care if it benefits this person or not, because this person has the ways and means to do it. Do I agree with that? I don't really, but that's how this person thinks. So again, going back to what I was saying, I do like to get off track here, that, you know, uh, really research your organization, the person, the marketing company, really find out what the reputation is. Are people satisfied? What can they really do for somebody? And also, what do you really want them to do? Like the person that I know that just likes to be on social media, likes the spotlight simply because that person can. And that person really doesn't have a business or doesn't have anything that they really use this for. So if that's what your intent is and you have the money, then I would still suggest that you do the deep dives and don't waste your money on something that doesn't have credibility. So that's one way to protect yourself. The second way is, how did they reach you? I remember one time I had somebody reach out to me, and it was from a professional nursing organization. And I asked them how they found me. What did they know about me? And they had found me through some social media, through some work I had done. And they had done a deep dive into my past. And through that, they decided that they would contact me. So that was fine. As long as somebody's doing that, make sure that they know who you are and what you do. And make sure that your values align with their values. What do they want to get from you? Do they want to put the word out there because they feel that you could help people, that the message that you have is a good message? Or do they simply just want you to pay them so that they could make money off of something? And I don't want to say care, that's not the right word, but they don't really have a good handle on how they're going to use your material. So those are ways to really protect yourself. What does that recognition mean to you? And I think you really need to sit down and think about, what do I want to get from awards and recognition? And this isn't selfish. This is really just taking care of yourself. What do I want from this? Do I want this to get the message out to people? Will it enhance the sale of my books? Will it open the door perhaps to some speaking opportunities, to some summits, to some different things? Will it also lead the way to when I write another book that now I will be a more well-known author? Or am I using this because, yes, it does appeal to my ego, and there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, I like the fact that I could be on the cover of a certain magazine, or I could do this, or I could do that. And well, it's maybe $1,000, maybe it's $500, and I have the money. I don't really care. So it's, what are your expectations? What do you expect to get from something? And again, do your deep dive. That's the most important thing, is do your deep dive into the reputation of the organization, of the company, of the person. And don't get fooled by the bells and whistles, because a lot of times we get enamored by the fact that, oh, somebody wants us for this or somebody wants us for that, without really reading the fine print, without really knowing what's going on underneath it all. And I think that's a trap that we all fall into. I know I've fallen into that. I've spent money on interviews that, God, they went nowhere. They really didn't. And I was just impressed by the fact that a so-called big name would call me and say, "Oh, we heard about you, and you'd be perfect for our program," or for whatever it was. This was a TV thing. And it really went nowhere, because at the time I didn't know that demand TV sometimes goes nowhere, that sometimes these shows get bumped, that sometimes these programs are on at very odd hours. Sometimes they're not played when they should be played or how they should be played. And that's the last thing I'd like to say, that there's media out there that will offer TV programs, that will tell you you could have your own TV channel, which again is fine if that's the route you want to take, and you could use that to your best advantage. But just find out before you sign on the dotted line, when does this program air? What's the average number of listeners to this program? Talk to other people and find out, what did they gain from this company? Recently, I did that with a company that was offering me a TV program, and it sounded good. And I looked them up online, and they had a decent reputation. They had been out there for a while. And through an organization that I belong to, in a chat group, I asked, was there anybody that had experience with this media company and the TV program? Well, I got 4 responses right away. And the responses were that none of these people, and they were all entrepreneurs, none of these people had gotten any traction with being on the TV program. And 3 out of 4 had actually quit because in 6 months, and the contract was for 6 months, they got no traction. They got no new clients out of it. If they had written a book, they had gotten no new sales out of that book. They just felt that it didn't get them anyplace. Well, the last person that I spoke to had a little different take on it. She was involved with a nonprofit, and she did a lot of fundraising. And she said, a lot of times when people would watch her TV program, she says some of them would donate money to the organization. So she felt that it helped for that. And she was simply doing that to get some visibility out there for the agency and for the fundraising for the organization that she was involved with. And she said the organization she was involved with was paying for this. They were using it as advertisement. So there's really nothing wrong with that. So we're coming to the end here. I actually talked longer than I thought I would. But again, do awards and recognition serve the author? Yes, they do. If you could do your homework, your deep dive, know what you want from this recognition, from this award. How are you going to use it to to promote yourself, to promote your book? Where is it going to lead you to? Or do you simply want to do it because you can? And there's nothing wrong even with that. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself in the spotlight. There's nothing wrong with ego. There's nothing wrong with that. The only time it's wrong is when you yourself don't know the difference. And because of that, you may get taken advantage of. So, for all the authors out there, for all the aspiring authors out there, and for anyone who's on social media or perhaps wants a TV program, perhaps wants to do a book tour or anything like that, I say go for it as long as you're aware of what it's really about and you feel comfortable in doing that because you feel secure in the knowledge that what you're doing is the proper thing to do and you have all the information. So basically, what it comes down to is really look and dive in deep before you take that leap into an award or a recognition. And thank you very much. I am Teresa Palmer. As I said, I'm part of the Own It family, author of the book Heal Your Heart from Within, found on Amazon, um, published by, oh, I just forgot the name, Balboa Press, published by Balboa Press, the sister publishing company of Hay House. It's also on Books A Million. It also could be found at Barnes and Noble. So if you're interested in a holistic approach to the heart, the tools and the understanding of how to work with your heart, to utilize your heart for good health and well-being, I would hope that I would invite you to buy my book. And thank you for joining me today. For those who will be celebrating a holiday in a couple days, I wish you the best with your holiday. For those that aren't, I still wish you the best in everything that you do. And It's always important to own it because when you own it, you are the one in charge of your life and everything that you do. So thank you and be the best that you could be.